Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wanted Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. Glad to be back. Oh, Lord, I am so glad to be back in this Carolina Sports Plus studio. 2024, here we are. Oh, we got so much catching up to do. There is so much that has happened since Mario and myself were last on the show. As far as I know, we got Jay Spearman joining us tonight. Hopefully that comes through. We got a lot to talk about. There's been a lot to happen just in the NBA since we all got together. So looking forward to that tonight. Been busy between being out of state for a few weeks to being shorthanded, but then again, when am I not shorthanded, to remodeling the kitchen, to Christmas, to Thanksgiving, to some of us building a whole mobile store. Like, there's just so much going on here at the 110 Nation, but glad to be back. 2024. What are we looking at? About 13 years. Yeah, coming up on 13 years. And hoping this would be our best year, our most productive year. So looking forward to all this. But let me go ahead and get my co-host, my right hand. Got some interesting things to talk to him about tonight. Mario, how are you doing? Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Glad to be back. How's life in North Carolina?
I'm glad to be back. It's been a while. It was good. Merry Christmas to you, too, and Happy New Year's and all that good stuff. Like you said, we definitely got a lot of good things to talk about.
Yes. Oh, Lord, yes. Let the people know, before we get into where they can find you, website, Facebook, and all that, let them know what you've been up to and where they can follow you or Carolina Sports Plus to kind of see what's going on. Because, I've known Mario. A lot of people don't know this that listen to the show. I've known Mario for a very long time. Especially we talk about me being in Dayton, Ohio, and talk about Mario being in Fayetteville or Hope Mills, or not Hope Mills, but Rayford, North Carolina. I used to live in North Carolina, and Mario and my used to pass at least once a day. And so I had to say, Mario, I never knew that you had these qualities or these talents. Like, I am rather impressed with what you're doing and what you're putting together. I've gotten to remodel a couple bathrooms and the kitchen, and everybody got to get to see those pictures. And it's kind of been a learning process. I've done a few things in prior relationships, but this is probably the most remodeling and redoing of house, and it's kind of, I learn as I go. And I'm sure there's a lot of learning as you've gone so far, but I got to say I'm rather impressed. I don't know if I've sitting there thinking to myself, damn, we could do one of those this way and everything else, but it's like, I don't think I have the skills, or like, I don't know, like I am very impressed with what you got going on, but let them know what you got going on and where they can kind of see the progress and from the beginning to end how this is what's going on.
Okay. I'm currently working on a mobile store for Carolina Sports Plus, you know, to jingle around North Carolina, South Carolina, and we're currently building it. It was a 16-foot box truck, and we've been remodeling it, really just building it, and it's coming a long way. I have a great help in Ty Jackson out of Graphic T15. He's helping me along with this process, and it's coming along. But you can catch us on Carolina Sports Plus on Facebook and Instagram, and you can like us on YouTube also, and you can catch merchandise at CarolinaSportsPlus.com. But it has been a journey. You know, the overall plan is to have it done by hopefully February-ish, so we can be out there in March, April, May with festivals and fairs. You know, when that sun comes out and the Ferris wheels go up, we'll be out there with them.
Now, I have shared different videos and different clips on our different videos that we're going to get back into very strong with our YouTube presence. If you guys are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go over to the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. I will be clipping this show up as well to have little teasers and just different segments of this show over on our YouTube channel as well. And for those that are new to the network, you guys can also catch us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, the YouTube channel, you name it, Podcast Chasers, Podcast Addicts, you name it, pretty much we're on those platforms. But Amazon Music, too. I keep forgetting about that one. What was I about to say? Oh. So I've shared a lot of those different clips, and I've shared them on Facebook, and my wife has sat there and watched a few times. And the most common question for those that have not watched his videos or don't follow him on Instagram, make sure you guys follow Carolina Sports Plus on Carolina Sports Plus on Instagram. He puts a lot of videos, a lot of things, a lot of these fairs. How long does it take you to set up those tents? I can imagine maybe, I don't know, to the financial cost, how long it take you to save, but I can only imagine the setup and takedown time versus having a mobile unit that there's going to be less of that. I'm sure that's going to pay off wonders. But when you're doing these carnivals and festivals and stuff, how long does it take you to set up and take down? Because you have your tent like from wall to wall, ceiling, outside of it, like there's like I have never seen so much stuff in a tent. You go all out, all these different festivals and carnivals and stuff that you go to. How long does it take you guys to set those up and take those down?
It takes about, I'll say about a good hour and a half, 2 hours between that time. A good 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it is. It will come in handy. You know, some festivals, you know what I mean, but it takes 2 hours to do. Tear up and break down.
It shows. Like, it looks like you guys put a lot of time into setting up. If you guys have not seen any of the videos, make sure you guys, once again, go over to Carolina Sports Plus on Instagram, his Facebook. Those that are in North Carolina, make sure you guys go to these different festivals that he goes to. But it is definitely, it's crazy. Mario. I don't know if Jay's making it or not. That's how we was on the same page. So we'll kind of get things kicked off. But Mario,
all right.
Who would imagine when you watch your starting quarterback go down, when you watch the best running back in the entire league go down, you watch your second string quarterback go down, your third string quarterback go down, You're the highest team of players on a roster on IR. And you find yourself as one of, I'm not going to say the most, but I would say probably top 5 easily feared teams going into the playoffs. A team that I picked to win the division. I wasn't too far off.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking at me crazy when I said this. But honestly, if Nick Chubb doesn't go down, regardless of Watson goes out or not, I don't think we lose the division. I think it took us a while to reestablish a running game and figure it out, and I still think they're working on it because we're seeing a lot less of Kareem Hunt, a little bit more of, I want to say his last name is Strong, number 20, with a big dosage of Ford. But I think if Chubb doesn't go down in that Pittsburgh game, we beat the Steelers and we beat Baltimore. And we win the division. So I wasn't too far off, even at 11. We're 11-5 right now. I don't know if we take an L this weekend. I know we are resting all our people. If the Bengals were still in the playoff hunt, they would have obviously played to win. At this point, I don't know if they even care at this point and who's all going to play and take chances of any injuries. Going into the next season. So this might be a very horrible game to watch. But even watching the game that we clinched the playoffs and we watch and find out that Amari Cooper's hurt. So now we're down our top receiver. Then during the game, Elijah Moore, concussion, and goes down. So our number 1 and number 2 went down. And a little side note, Njoku has 120-something yards in the first quarter. I had 2 different parlays going on, and I had green checks all the way down the board, except for I needed Njoku to score a touchdown. And, of course, after he fumbled that daggone football, they hardly threw the ball to him anymore the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I for sure thought that was going to be the easiest check mark, especially when he came out in the first quarter and did what he did. And even after Elijah Moore going down, I wrote out, okay, that just eliminated a target. We're back in the game. But anyway, you have no idea. Second time in 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Second time in just 4 years as well. We're in the playoffs, and not just, I tried not, who would have thought? On top of all that, we call up somebody who has been our arch enemy for God knows how many years, that's been sitting on the couch taking care of kids and has not done anything for the NFL in weeks. And he comes out and he's 4-1, and he is setting records in the NFL for what he is doing at the age of 39, coming off the couch. And I tell you what, it's been hard to get behind the whole Joe Flacco thing. We've done this together long enough to know if you ain't Browns, if you ain't the Cavaliers, I have nothing to do with you. And there's this wound that is never healed, and this wound is from 95 when the Browns were actually favored to go to the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, the GOAT of coaching, was our head coach. Nick Saban, who was labeled as probably a GOAT in college football, was on our coaching staff, not to mention all the other names we could go down on this phenomenal coaching staff to include this team that was favored to go to the Super Bowl. 3-1 starts, and our Mondells were moving to Baltimore, and that was it. That wound of the whole Baltimore thing is still it's never healed at all. That'd be like you waking up tomorrow and finding out that the Carolina Tar Heels are moving to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't know what to do with yourself. And so Flacco and anybody Baltimore Ravens, I no. And so it's taken a little. It's taken a bit. Like it's just get used to this. But in all seriousness, though, it's hard not to allow myself to get consumed into this. Like realistically,
yeah.
I see us winning one game. I see us beating Jacksonville. I know we have the capabilities to run the table. We have the best defense in the NFL. They have carried us the entire season. With Joe Flacco, I am sure we are easily top 5 in a lot of categories, at least extending over the last 5 weeks. So realistically, there's no doubt in my mind we win round 1. Now, I know that we could beat anybody out there. We've proven that. We've beaten Baltimore, who was considered either the best or second best team. The other team that would be considered number 1 or number 2, we beat as well, and the 49ers. And we beat both those teams, one with the third-string quarterback in the 49ers with DTR, and we beat Baltimore when Deshaun Watson put on his best second half, who had dislocated or whatever the hell he did to the shoulder in the first quarter. So I know what we can do with banged-up quarterbacks and third-string quarterbacks and everything else. So I can imagine what we could do in these playoffs. But in the back of my mind, I try to reel it in because it was only 2 years, maybe 3 years, but I think 2 years ago, that the rest of the people in this Dayton area, because I'm not that far from Cincinnati, and how they had bought in to the Cincinnati Bengals winning the Super Bowl. That the Bengals, this was it. Joe Burrow had led them. They have found their holier-than-thou quarterback. They were going to beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. I didn't see it. I wasn't allowed to go to any of these parties. I wasn't allowed to go to the church party because I don't know if we've ever watched football together, but my mouth, football, and church just doesn't go together. I couldn't go to the B-Dub party with the rest of my family, my mom, my sister-in-law, my wife, and there might have been someone else because I had been cheering on the Rams. But I couldn't go to anywhere else. I had to stay home and watch that game because nobody around here wanted to hear what I had to say or the fact that I just hate Cincinnati. So I try not to let myself be that Cleveland fan that was like all these Cincinnati fans, because realistically I know that the 49ers, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, probably one other team out there, maybe Philadelphia, I don't know, I'm not so much sold on Philadelphia, could very easily beat us. Like, I'm not going to be unrealistic about it. As realistic as I know that there's not a team in this playoff that I firmly believe that the Browns fear at all, because I think the Browns know they can beat everybody. I also know that there's a good handful of teams that could really just mop the floor with us if they really wanted to. So I'm trying not to get too overhyped about this, but I'm in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. Funny story. Then I'm gonna let you give your thoughts about the Browns in the playoffs. So I've always told myself, if the Browns ever made the Super Bowl, that I was going. I didn't care how or what, I was going. So I brought up to the wife, I'm like, look, we might need to look into putting a lien or a loan or mortgage, whatever it is, against the mortgage of the house. And she looked at me like I was some type of crazy, because we ain't doing nothing like that. I said, well, we need to figure out which kid we can sell, or we got to figure out something here. It's like, I've always told myself that I was going. She didn't like none of my ideas, Mario. So I might have to go by myself because I don't know if I can flip 2 Super Bowl tickets, but I have enough invested in the stock market. I could probably at least flip 1 Super Bowl ticket in Las Vegas. But what's your thoughts of my Browns finally making the playoffs?
First off, it's very impressive that y'all did get to the playoffs. You know, with the four quarterbacks, with the strong defense, but I would be scared to play Cleveland. You know what I mean? Just because with Joe Flacco, the defense, and everything that they can do, they can win. I mean, once you get in the playoffs, anybody can win. That's just being realistic. You know what I mean? It's not like, you know, yeah. You can once you get in there, it's all about winning now. But Cleveland got the team to do it.
Have you been watching these games?
Yeah, most definitely.
It blows my mind, and being probably more so being a hater of the Baltimore Ravens, I never really paid attention. It blows my mind how accurate Joe Flacco is. Like, I never had paid attention to this. A lot of these throws that he throws are like, there is a very small, tight window that this has got, like, it blows my mind. Now, he's makes some more, but don't get me wrong. As great as the yards and the touchdowns are, the interceptions come with it, and that's always been Joe Flacco. He reminds me a lot of Drew Bledsoe. You're going to get a lot of yards, you're going to get a lot of touchdowns, but there's going to be some interceptions that come with that too. So, fortunately for us, the defense is so good that we can most of the time outweigh the turnovers. But it blows my mind how accurate is it just, like, even who we played, it was whoever played the Jets or whatever it was, and that first player, I think it was the Jets, so we threw that first play was like 75 yards or whatever, 80 yards to Amari Cooper. Just like, so I think it was nothing. Like, he does it like it's just like there's no effort to it. Like, you come off the couch and you throw these deep balls and these perfect passes and as about as accurate as you can get it. And, like, it's just no big deal. Like, at almost 40 years old. Oh. So we'll go from a high to a low. I see some videos of lack of attendance, and I have seen the lack of motivation in a state that I used to call home for 20-something years when it comes to these Carolina Panthers. Mario, what y'all going to do? How y'all going to fix this? Because, like, there's no buzz, there's no support, there's nothing. Like, so I saw a clip just either today or yesterday. It showed back in 2000, I think it was 15. It probably was your guys' Super Bowl run. How the stadium was full of people. And then someone showed a clip of this last weekend, and, like, I've been to college football games of teams nobody's even heard of. Campbell University, and I forget who Campbell University played right there. It was the last college football game I went to, and I took my son before. It was probably a year or two before I moved back. I think there was probably more people in the stands there than it was in the Carolina Panthers stands. Like, what do you think they need to do in this offseason to create some kind of buzz, to get this program turned around? Are you still holding on to Bryce Young? Is it time to maybe reevaluate things? What do you think they need to do?
It is bad. You know, from the owner, you know, splashing fans in Jacksonville, to the quarterback not be able to go over 250 yards, even though he did do 300 one time a couple weeks ago. But you know, it's just, we're in a bad spot right now. You know, we was 1-15 at one time, and then coming back and being 2-14, wherever we are right now, is just, you know, it's just bad times right now. And the owner got a lot of accountability to.
I don't mean to laugh, but I know about bad times. We went 0-16, then followed out with a 1-15. So I know all about some bad times. Oh Lord!
But it is bad. You know, it's hard from the offensive line to our receivers. We need a lot. We need some help. But you know, with the owner, how he acts, and it's just gonna be hard to find a good coach that's willing to come in and willing to put this thing together without being fired 5 or 6 games into the next season. You know what I mean? So it really has to be a splash at I think a head coach if he can get one. But it's gonna be hard. It really is. But as a fan, what can you do? You know what I mean?
I want to get sidetracked for a couple things. Then I want to get back into the NFL because I want to talk about different teams. You can get your thoughts, opinions about the Ravens, the 49ers, and the Cowboys, and just different teams, different things. But I want to save that for a little bit later on. We're down to our last 2 teams in college football. We got that team up north, and we got Washington. And one, I understand we had 2 phenomenal games, 2 games that actually came down to like the last plays of the game. Phenomenal games. Unfortunately, with work schedule and everything going on, I missed those games just a lot. Just trying to do a lot of things at once. Is there another? I know you hate Duke. You're a Carolina Tar Heel. What's your stance with the Wolfpack? Like, do you hate them anything close to you do Duke, or is there any other team that you dislike to almost the same level, if not the same level as Duke?
Oh no, Wolfpack, they all right. They straight. They all right. They behind Duke. You know, they talk a little trash too. You know what I mean? They try to stay in a rivalry conversation, you know what I mean, once we play them, but it's nowhere close. There's nowhere close to being Duke.
It won a national title back in like 1980-something. You're still trying to hold on to that. But anyway, I always feel bad for Wolfpack. Like, they try to get in that argument, but they're but your dislike or hate, I don't know if you hate. I hate these 2 teams. But your dislike of Duke is how I feel, especially about Michigan being a Buckeye, but also Alabama. There's nothing worse when one of the games comes down to 2 teams you absolutely hate and wish there was a way that both teams could lose a game. So you don't really know who to pick, who you really want to move on. Do you really want to hear the whole Alabama thing again and the SEC thing again, or do you want your arch rival to, be the one that goes into that national title game? And then I find myself in a whole predicament here in the national title game. I think Michigan's going to win. As much as I do not want to be right, and I do not want that to happen, I think without a doubt, I thought the top 2 teams all year long, you could argue it up until the game we lost, who was the better team, Michigan or Ohio State, but that was 1-2 for me. So I had no issue with them being number 1. And so, 1, I think they've been the best team, vice versa, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever, the entire season. But 2, I have been a firm believer that I don't feel Washington, 1, deserves to be in this playoff. And more specifically now, don't feel that they deserve to be in the national title game. I'm sorry, but when you play nobody and you beat nobody all year long, it doesn't automatically qualify you to be in the top 4. Ask Florida State. And I know that's a little cheap shot, but I'm tired of having that whole argument with people as well, Mario. So first, since I dibbled into this Florida State thing, I'm going to get your thoughts and opinions first before I put my thoughts and opinions into it. What is your thoughts on Florida State not making the playoffs? Should they have made the playoff? Was you upset that they didn't make the playoff? Is this part of the system being broken or right or wrong? what was your overall thoughts of Florida State and not being in the top 4 playoff thing?
To be honest, it would have been more of a treat or argument if they would have their starting quarterback. You know what I mean? That does play a big factor. You know what I mean? And them with the second string going down. Let's just be real, man. They didn't really play anybody. They beat LSU the first week. Yes, they did beat LSU, and they can put that on their record. But overall, their schedule is weak. And then when it comes down to the Orange Bowl, with all the players opting out, and I call it quitting, just to be honest with you, because I would have played. You know what I mean? If I was in that predicament. But with all the players transferring, but the college game got a lot to fix. You understand what I'm saying? With the transfer portal opening it up as soon as the season's over with NIL deals, I can understand why 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds would dip if another school is offering me money. Of course I'm gonna go. You get what I'm saying? Because I need that money. But it just makes college football look bad.
You just opened up a whole can of worms that I want to get into here.
Yeah. Okay.
One, I forgot that we kind of had this discussion already because we've replied on each other's Facebook. I agree with you 100%. Florida State played nobody. For all those people that were, Florida State didn't make it, Florida State undefeated, Florida State, people used to have the same stupid arguments about Boise State and TCU back in the day. They'd beat up on a bunch of nobodies all year round and all year long, and then didn't get into the playoffs or get a good bowl game or the championship bowl game because you beat nobody. Florida State beat nobody. They beat LSU the very first game of the year, and then they end up beating the only other team that remained ranked was Louisville, who turned around and lost to Kentucky, who I don't even think was a 500 team, in the bowl game. So you beat nobody. You have no strength of schedule. You have no resume. And you have other teams that had legitimate resumes that beat legitimate teams. You could have had an argument, a legitimate argument, that Ohio State was more deserving to be in there versus Florida State with all the actual ranked teams that Ohio State beat and playing close with Michigan. So I have no sympathy. Now, the whole transfer portal, the whole NIL, this is why I was opposed to all this stuff. This makes no sense that we are having this whole discussion that we have players, instead of playing in their bowl games, are transferred to other colleges when they should be focused on playing their college bowl game. And they shouldn't even have this option of just be able to bounce from college to college because they're not happy.
I agree.
But to the defense of the college, to the defense of this, though, I have always been a firm believer that we don't need so many bowl games anyway. I'm sorry, but if you don't win at least 75% of your games, you don't deserve to get a participation trophy and play in the I Suck Butt Bowl because you went 5 and 6, and you won your conference championship and got to be in a bowl game. No, that's not. There need to be a lot of trimming of the bowl game. So college football needs to sit there and start to consolidate their bowl games. And let's eliminate some of this BS fluff stuff, because there's no way that these sponsors are paying enough money that the 6 people they show in the bleachers and nobody watching the game, you're just seeing those 6 people in a highlight, you're making enough to balance all this out. And you got to be kidding me that somebody's actually forking money into something nobody's watching. Like, you're going to tell me that, Get Air, which is this company right off the road, I don't even know why I picked it, but you're going to tell me that they're going to be willing to dump millions and millions of dollars into a football game that doesn't make any kind of prime time. You're lucky you catch the highlights on it, and there might be 8 people in the grandstands. No. So let's eliminate some of that. But this offseason, they need to fix this whole NIL deal garbage, which I was just never a fan of it anyway. And I know I'm more of a minority on this, but you get like a unlimited education and treated like royalty. I worked in Chapel Hill. I know what it's like, and I know the ridiculousness of the classes that these athletes take. You might as well just show up, take a nap, and you get an A. And it's all free. Like some of them, I applaud them. They take advantage of it. They actually get degrees. They get multiple degrees. They continue their education after they're drafted. I applaud them. But most of them, unfortunately, they sleep through it. They find the easiest route to get through college to make their millions. And great, they make millions. But every time they get interviewed, they sound like like there's no light bulb at all up there. But anyway.
Yeah.
They need to fix this. Like, you got players constantly bouncing around. There's no like I can't imagine. There's less players, I feel like, and I could be wrong, but I feel there's less players moving around in the NFL when you actually got contracts and trades than what's going on in college football. You can't even keep up and when and who and where and everything else. Like, is it just me, or does it just seem like there's even more, I guess you could call it the transfer portal, might as well say trades, more trades going on in college football than there is in NFL?
I agree. I'm on the same boat as you, but I think next year, even like with that, college been making so much money over the years, where they kind of had to open it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Just because, with the times with social media and I want to say the woke crowd, but you already know how it goes. You know what I mean? So, with college making so much money off of players all this time, they kind of had to open the door for them, but it just puts a bad product on the field when it comes to bowl games, a situation like this. Next year, they're going to be moving to the playoff system, which should help out, but it just college football just doesn't feel the same way like NFL football does. You know what I mean? It's just different.
No,
but they do got to fix it though.
Yeah, and even Ohio State, 14-3. Now, granted, Iowa scored that 14 points in the fourth quarter, but nobody played. And we lost 14. You gonna tell me the big, the bad, the almighty Ohio State? All you can muster up was 3 points against Iowa? Like, come on.
Yeah.
They got to figure this out, because if not, then what's the point of even? What little point that some of these sponsors feel in sponsoring these bowl games, there's going to be no point at all, because that 63-3 routing or whatever the hell that was that Florida State lost to Georgia, ain't nobody want to pay to sponsor. Ain't nobody want to watch that stuff. Like, come on.
Agree.
Oh, we got Michigan and Washington. Like I said, unfortunately, I think Michigan's going to win. I think they're the better team. Your thoughts? Who do you think wins the national title game?
I'm on the same train as you. Go Big Blue. But Michael.
You didn't have to do all that now.
Just something to make you laugh and chuckle a little bit. You know what I mean? But I'm on the same. I'm on the same boat as you. When Jim Harbaugh wins, I believe he is definitely gone. But what's the situation going to be? Once football is over with and the NCAA wants to take the championship away if Michigan wins. Do you think that's a possibility too? You think that's going to come up? I mean, I know they didn't win yet. They didn't win, but
honestly, ever since the Ohio State game, I have not given much thought to it. I don't even think I've even participated in joking about it since then. That is interesting. Like, what happens if they do win the national title?
I think they are. I think Michigan wants them to stay, of course, But I think NCAA, I think they got something out for Michigan. You know what I mean? They keep messing with them every year. It's always something, from a cheeseburger or talking to somebody or stealing signs. You know what I mean? I think they're just building up a case to just sit there and say, if they do win, we're gonna take it away. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it. But I know if I'm Jim Harbaugh, man, I'm gone. You know what I mean? I'm gone. I don't got time for all this. I'm gone. I'm gonna give me a team that's gonna let me be part GM with the GM and let me run the team.
Another thing that happened since the last time we had a show, Mario, we had a in-season tournament. I guess that's what they called it.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, participation trophy.
Your thoughts on
high school holiday tournament. The high school holiday tournament.
This whole tournament thing's funny. Like, I think next year, I've heard rumors, or at least suggestions. I don't know if I've heard rumors or it being a suggestion. I know if they won the Lakers, I think each player got like $500 million for the win.
Yeah.
I've heard either suggestion or rumor for next year. If you win, you get an automatic bid into the tournament or into the playoffs.
Oh,
now,
wait. Now that right there, no, I don't agree with the
Yes, I am all down for that.
Yeah.
The intensity of that tournament to know you are guaranteed to be in the playoffs no matter what.
Yeah.
That's
coasting. That's coasting right there. Can you imagine? Just imagine say the Lakers. Say that is the case, and the Lakers won right now. Do you know how cruise control the Lakers would be? Do you know how cruise control Boston would be? You couldn't help but to be on cruise control if there's a tournament that you win 2 months into the regular season and 6 months away, you're automatically in the playoffs.
I guess you're right. I see. Is $500,000 worth of them to keep doing that? Like, I think the only reason it was a big deal this year because LeBron wanted to win the first one.
Yeah.
Now, next year, I don't think we will see the same hype about this. I just don't.
I agree.
$500,000. Now, I understand some of these players don't make that in their contracts, but those players ain't playing, or at least playing significant time. Do you think that there's anything that the league could tweak this? Because all I could see was a bunch of players that now didn't get a load managed that normally would start load managing, because now you're all in on a tournament, at least for the first season, to be that first team. But moving forward, okay, do you want to, that however many games it took, do you want to put that full effort into winning a tournament that most of the players, they make at least 8 times that just that season alone? Like, I don't know. Like, the first year was good because everybody wanted to be the first, but now...
Yeah. Money talks, though. I mean, honestly, $500,000, after the tournament, I don't have to wait a whole season, to get it. I can get it right there. I would dribble that ball a little harder. I would shoot that ball a little bit more accurate. I'll run the court a little bit more faster, But there's nothing like being the first, So we got the first one out the way, but it did also bring some good competitive basketball in the beginning of the NBA season. I can honestly say that. I think it set a good tone for the NBA, with the tournament being played and the high ratings, because it was good basketball. There was a lot of good energy. So I can definitely give them credit on that part.
Now let's say this. Then that they would have to obviously do something to begin the season, because they did that to have some excitement towards the beginning. But say they have this play-in tournament, I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, just so you have time to rest for those trying to cruise to the playoffs, that even if they don't win the tournament, let's say 3-4 weeks out from the end of the regular season, they have a play-in tournament like that for a playoff spot. Would that be good?
It'll be. I to be honest with you, if I had to choose between the beginning of the season or the end of the season, I would definitely choose the beginning of the season. You know, just because at the end, you know, you're gonna get older, worn down legs. You're gonna be injury prone. You know, and you're gonna be more focused on the playoffs during that time. But it would. I like it more at the beginning, but it's just, you know, it's new.
Gotcha.
So, of course, there's going to be a whole bunch of different opinions. You know, it was good ratings. It was good basketball. So I'm just going to take it as that.
How about this? Because I was always a big fan when baseball, at least used to do this. I don't know if they still do it or not. Let's say that in the play-in tournament that your players get your $500,000, but whatever conference that team comes from, they automatically secure home court advantage for the playoffs, for the NBA Finals tournament, or the actual playoff.
Yeah.
Because I know baseball used to do it. Whoever won the All-Star game, then that's a team that got home field advantage. I love how NASCAR does it. You win $1 million, but you know it's even more, and it's a little bit more. They're not making $40 million. Well, I don't know how much they make. I don't assume they make $40 million a year. And NHL did something there for a while, and I always hated how football did it because there's no reward for winning the Pro Bowl, so nobody cares. There's got to be some kind of purpose, just like the NBA All-Star Game. That's what I wish they used to do with the NBA All-Star Game, because there's no purpose of winning the All-Star Game. Nobody cares. There's no defense. Both teams score like 200 points. You're going to tell me the best the NBA has to offer are the All-Star players, and each team scores 200 points? Like, come on. But if you make, you know, there being some kind of points, like, okay, whoever wins the All-Star Game or whoever wins the in-season tournament, that conference gets home court advantage. That now all of a sudden there's an incentive, especially if you do at the beginning of the season, because nobody knows, unless you're that horrible that you know that you have no shot for the season. But if you do it early enough in the season, everybody's going to try, because, hey, what happens if I am the team that makes it to the finals? I want home court advantage. Especially if you're winning if you win in-season tournament, you feel that you got a legitimate shot. So, you know, you kind of get that test at the beginning of the season to kind of see where your status is in the NBA, and you can win home field or home court advantage. You know, they add just a spin to it. Because I just don't feel that going into year 2 there's going to be such the buzz, because now Lakers are always going to be and LeBron is always going to be known as the one that won the first one. I'm going to ask this. I know it's a stupid question. I was going to ask it regardless of you and if Jay was with us, because both y'all are, I'm not going to say anti-LeBron, but you guys are both Jordan. Does this change any status for LeBron winning this in-season tournament, being the first to win it? Do you feel that changes anything in his status?
No, there's nothing wrong. You know what I mean? I can only do what you know I can do. You know what I mean? It just happens to be the first one, and I won. You know what I mean? Congratulations to him. You know what I mean? So they won. You know, but as far as it's something to put on his resume. You know what I mean? It's something to add on. You know what I mean? Everybody's gonna have their GOAT and have their opinions about who's the best, who's better. You know what I mean? But you know, congratulations. You know what I mean? He won. You know, but it doesn't move the needle. To me, it won't never move the needle, just because I feel like I watched the GOAT. You know what I mean? I'm glad I was at the age where, you know, I had the opportunity to watch greatness. You know, would I get up? You know, because when Jordan was playing, I was in Germany, so I had to wake up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to watch games. You know what I mean? Would I wake up at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning to watch LeBron James play? To be honest with you, no. and that's just being honest. But it's all good.
It's funny. Back in the day when Jordan played, it didn't change. I was not Jordan. I hated the Bulls. I hated all that. I ended up being growing up my young age. I ended up being a Magic fan. I had rookie. I had cards of Penny Hardaway when he was or Anthony Hardaway when he played for Memphis. I had LSU cards of Shaq. But I was a fan of, Horace Grant and Shaquille O'Neal and Dennis Scott and that whole squad. I was just a Magic fan. Even like now, you mentioned them players. That's just how basketball was back then. You know what I mean? If you ask players who are role players now, you know what I mean? It's hard to name the Horace Grant, the Nick Andersons. You know what I mean? It's hard to name them players now in today's basketball just because you couldn't sit there and be like, well, I don't know who he is. But during them times, you knew who everybody was. You knew who Michael Jordan was. You know who John Paxson was. You know who B.J. Armstrong was. You know what I mean? You know who Cartwright was. You know who Longley was. Tony
you name the whole roster. You get what I'm saying? So you can tell it's a different basketball that was played back then. But it also got to turn into the generation that we grew up in too. That plays a factor in a lot of things that's going on now, what's going on now, and back then too. I feel like we're around the same age. We landed in a good spot. You get what I'm saying? To be able to watch Michael Jordan and then compare it to LeBron James and then physically know. I remember watching Michael Jordan. I remember watching LeBron James. But I also remember watching all the role players from every team, but you can't remember role players from this generation. You know what I mean? Just because it's all about LeBron James or Kevin Durant, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, being an I didn't care for the Bulls. I didn't care for Jordan. I feel the same way. This doesn't change anything. Like, this is. I agree. One more thing you said you can add to his resume. I will say this: for as old as LeBron is, I don't think I will ever cease to be amazed what this man can do physically on the court. Like,
I agree. I agree.
It is
but
crazy.
If you play 21, if you playing that long of basketball, you're supposed to have good numbers, and I can you can say that he takes very good care of his body. He's a very good family man. He does great things. You know what I mean? But if he played 20
but I'm saying
years,
even in this season though, like the minutes he puts in, even in this many years into it, and his averages and. That stuff just blows my mind. I'm not even talking about the longevity numbers, just knowing that we're in 20-something years, 20 years, whatever the hell we are at this point. Man's getting ready to turn almost 40 years old. I don't agree with a lot of things. I don't agree with the politics. I don't agree with the flopping. There's a lot of things I don't agree with. But it blows my mind to know at his age what – I know what it's like waking up in the morning. I know what it's like walking 5 steps to the bathroom and half the bones of my body are popping. I could not imagine playing even at load management. Let's 50, 60 games. We'll just say that 60 games. I couldn't imagine playing that at that level at that age, and then in between those games, you're practicing and conditioning and everything else. Like, it just blows my mind at that age what he could do. No, I don't think this changes anything as well. I think that the people even insinuating that, this being the first will help. No, it won't do anything. One, because it's at the end of the day a meaningless tournament. But two, you can't hold it against anybody else in the world, especially prior to him, because it wasn't available to them. Like, maybe you could say, well, he's better than Kevin Durant because of this, or better than Steph Curry, which he's better than both of them anyway. But I think he plays better than them at his age than they do at their age. But I don't know, just crazy to me. We got the end tournament.
The Eagles done? Are the Eagles one and done?
Are the Eagles? I don't. Well, that's your question. I don't think they're winning the Super Bowl this year. If that's what you're asking me.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah.
I honestly, I think it comes down to. It won't be these four in your conference championships because I don't know how the playoff brackets come down. But if I had to decide on the field right now, the four teams that I think it comes down to, your two teams out in the NFC, the 49ers and the Cowboys. And honestly, I think in the AFC, I think it comes down to the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. Is who I think it comes down to.
Okay. You believe in Lamar Jackson is going to make it? He's going to win more than one game. He's going to win more than one. He's going to win more than 2 games in this playoffs, and he only won 1 game in the last 6 years.
No, but I don't want to be that person that says, "Oh, Baltimore's not one of the top 4 teams." I don't know if I'm just not in the right circle, Mario. I don't think that I don't think Lamar is as good as people are still trying to make him out to be. I don't know this whole MVP conversation.
Okay.
One, I think it sucks that we have been such a quarterback-driven MVP league for so long that it's really not even given a thought for anybody else.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily feel that Lamar Jackson is the most valuable player. I just don't. His numbers statistically are not better. The only thing that's better than everybody else is his record. Now, unfortunately, he had a hell of a performances last week. Not that he overwhelmed us and threw a bunch of passes and everything else. I mean, Joe Flacco threw, I think, not as many touchdowns, but as many yards, actually more yards than him. I don't think he's the most valuable player.
Okay.
I think, but the thing is he is their best player.
Yeah.
And he is the reason he has won. So that's why he is in this. Now, if we had Kansas City having a normal season, if we had Josh Allen having a better than what he's been doing the last few years season, or if Dak Prescott wouldn't have lost to a couple certain teams, I don't think we'd be having this conversation about it being a lock for Lamar Jackson. Yes, I think he wins it, but I don't.
I would want to play.
I don't.
I agree. I'm on the same. I'm all for the culture. You know what I mean? On my end, you know what I mean. As far as I catch it too. You know what I mean? Even for me being a black guy, a lot of black people say, "Well, I'm not rooting for the black guy," even though I'm a black person. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's hard to sit there and root just because his numbers just don't stack up. You know what I mean? As far as passing, touchdowns, interceptions, QBR. You know what I mean? For me, just to sit there and say, "Oh, he has to win it," just because he's a black guy, just to win it. You know what I mean? It throws a lot of people off, you know what I mean? But at the same time, what helped him out is a game that he played against the Dolphins. You know what I mean? If they would have lost against the Dolphins, he wouldn't be the MVP.
What sucks about all that is, one, first of all, the Baltimore Ravens was the only team that actually beat the Dolphins that were actually above 500. Like,
Yeah.
The Dolphins are not as good. I don't fear the Dolphins. I don't think the Browns fear
No,
the
I don't
Dolphins.
fear
I don't think.
No.
I don't think there's any team in the AFC or probably the entire NFL that fear the Dolphins. Maybe other than Denver. When that Denver, the team they put 60 points on or something. That might be the only team. I don't fear. I don't. First of all, I don't think Tua is that great of a quarterback. And then if you could shut him down, that knocks out Tyreek Hill. Their defense has gotten better since they brought Jalen Ramsey back, or he came back, but obviously it's not that great because the Baltimore just ran up the score on them this last weekend.
Yeah.
So
they lost
Chubb
for the year. Yeah, I agree.
So
we're on the same page.
I'm not. Yeah.
I know I wouldn't want to play Buffalo though. And boy, Buffalo gets it, boy. You know what I mean? That'll be a team I definitely don't want to run across.
Well, what's the whole Lamar Jackson thing? And this is what aggravated me in the past, and what I'm glad Cleveland did this last time. As long as you make Lamar beat you with his arm, you have a better shot. Don't let him run. I never could understand in the past why the Browns let him run all over the place. Because he runs because he's not that great of a quarterback. So he uses that to compensate. That's what Kaepernick did. That's what Cam Newton did for a lot of years. He wasn't that accurate. He ran a lot. There's quarterbacks out there that's what their go-to is. Kyler Murray's the same way. That's what their go-to is because they are not that accurate of a quarterback. So they got to compensate. They got to be productive somehow. And never stood the pass. And the Browns, ultimately shut it down this last time. Like I said, I think he's going to win the MVP. I don't get the whole hype around all of that. But anyway, Buffalo.
Now they came back. Now they was in the trenches. You can't even sit there and say they wasn't because it was like 5-5 at one particular point. Yeah, who would have thought?
They came back. Sitting as a Browns fan, I don't fear Buffalo. Like, I think Buffalo's a good team, but I think everything has to go in their favor to win. Like, I don't think they just legitimately just come in and control. All their games have been within 6, or I think all their losses might have been within 6 points. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't fear them. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think they're a horrible team, but
no.
I mean,
they're not horrible.
They stayed alive. I mean, they stayed alive. To me, they no different in the Browns' past. Like we knew how many games we had to win, and we went through what we did, and we won. Buffalo kind of did the same thing. They won, 5 of the last 6 games to get into the playoffs. I mean, they've been winning games. They've not been pretty. They've all been close.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't fear Buffalo. Like, there's been years that I felt Buffalo was a strong team, and yes, I would have feared them. But then again, Kansas City, I don't see anybody fearing Kansas City right now either. I think that the only thing going for Kansas City is they've been there, they've done that, and they know,
they know what it takes,
kind of what needs to be done. Yeah.
So
I wouldn't sleep on them because I know they know what it takes, and they're not going to be in panic mode or everything else just because they know how to get there, and they've done that. Like, hell, they've dropped more passes than anybody else in the NFL and had one of the most controversial offside calls in the season, but yet managed to find themselves, winning the division and being in the playoffs once again. So, I don't think anybody fears them, but
hello?
I'm back. All right. microphone fell off and the charge or the cord or the headset fell or came unplugged. But I don't think, like I said, I don't think anybody fears them, but I don't think anybody should sleep on them as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's some teams out there, like, except for the run, I think the 49ers lost like 3 straight games. Except for that run right there, we kicked that off when the Browns beat them, and I think the Bengals beat them. I think somebody else beat them. As I say, I don't know. I take that back. I don't know if anybody really fears the 49ers as well, because it was, 2 games ago.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy threw for 4 interceptions, and I was gonna say that they might, there's not been a team to me this year that has really been like that team.
Yeah.
Like, like, God, I don't want to play in the playoffs. Like, there's not one team right now that I look at. I sit there thinking to myself, like, I hope we don't play them. Like, there's not a team.
I know Baltimore don't want to play Cleveland. I can tell you that much. I don't care what Baltimore says. They don't want to see Cleveland. I know they don't want to see Cleveland. Because I think one thing about Joe Flacco, boy, he'll get you there. All he got to do is just get in the playoffs. Cause he going to throw that ball. As long as you got a good defense with Joe Flacco. That was a good pickup there. I can honestly say that.
I'm just hoping, and the rumors have, I don't know if it's a rumor or actual signing, but it looks like we're locking him up for 2 years for, I think, $6 million a year with bonus possibilities of making $36 million is the article I read. I don't know if that it was an actual, what actually happened or that's what talks are of. Which is going to make things, especially the farther the Browns go in this playoff run, the more interesting the conversation gets when it comes about Deshaun Watson. And what that leaves for him and how this is going to work out. Because I can guarantee you, regardless how much we pay Deshaun Watson, if Flacco comes in off the couch, takes us all the way through and win the Super Bowl, there's no way that I can see them saying, you know what, Flacco, we need you to go back to the bench. We paid all his money to Deshaun Watson, who, I mean, granted now, Deshaun Watson was 5-1, as not as performance-wise what everybody was hoping or expecting. I think that was a lot of defense. Once again, he was still 5-1. But I just can't see them saying, you know, Flacco, I know you just came off the couch. You won us a Super Bowl. You've set records. You've done this. You've done that. No, I just don't see that happening. So that conversation is going to be interesting. There's not a team. There's not a team at all.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
As sold as I am on my team, I don't feel that there's a team that should fear our team. Yes, maybe they dread playing that defense, but I don't see there being a fear anywhere. Just like I dread different things with different teams, like when Dak Prescott in that offense is clicking. Yes, I dread having to face that because when they're on all cylinders, they're on all cylinders. But there's not a team. There's not a team. And speaking of the team, and I was trying to think through teams, and one of them I thought about was the Lions. What do you think about that call? That looked like he reported for eligibility to catch. Referee said it's not 2-point conversion, gets retracted. What was your thoughts of all that?
A tricky situation, you know what I mean? With you can obviously see the offensive lineman come talk to the referee, at least come in his face and let him know, but it looked bad. It looked more bad on the referee's part, you know what I mean, just because you can see that he did come in your face while you're looking the other way, looking at another person come in, but, you know, it happens, but, you know, what can you do about it? I mean, you get what I'm saying? It just, you know, glad both teams are in the playoffs, but just a bad look. for the NFL. But the NFL, looks like that. It don't hurt the NFL because you know why? We're gonna always keep watching. You know what I mean? You still gonna watch what's gonna happen next week. What referee's gonna make a bad call? What is not gonna be made that should have been made? You're gonna tune into all them things. If you like the NFL or not.
Little sidetrack real quick. Over this last week, they talked about the merger of the USFL, the XFL. I forget what they called it now. They called it someone else, the United Football League, UFL, or I don't know what they called it. But you have 4 teams from the XFL, 4 teams, which I'm kind of surprised they went down so far because I think each of them had more than 4 teams. So 8 teams. You would have thought that they would add 12 or 16 teams, keeping a lot more teams, especially when you're taking 2 whole football programs. But with the merger and knowing that the NFL is using this to help, because they helped P.J. Walker, one of the quarterbacks, one of the 4 quarterbacks the Browns have used was one of the players from the XFL. He's just one of many that have kind of shined and gotten an opportunity in the NFL. Do you think this is here to stay this time? Do you think that with working with the NFL, the merger, do you think they got it this time?
I think, it's definitely good for the NFL. One thing about the NFL that they've learned over the years, there's no comparison. There's no comparison to any other sport, any other football league, or whatever league you're trying to put together. There's no comparison. So their end is to help them, because they're finding good players that's coming into the NFL with great stories, and that's what you want to hear. You want to hear great stories about, how you made it, for example, with the kicker from Dallas Cowboys. You understand what I'm saying? That's a great story you hear. You know what I mean? But because they know. See, NBA's a little different. You know what I mean? NBA don't got that margin, to try to help out the Ice Cubes, the 3-on-3 tournaments, just because it's just a little bit different when you compare NFL to NBA and any other sport. But it's a good thing for it's a good thing for the NFL. It's a good thing for that league too, because you can make it, because there's always somebody watching.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a big boost for that, is knowing that players have gone on to go to the NFL. For those that have not made the NFL or hoping to make the NFL, obviously, it's kind of their opportunity to showcase themselves. So definitely, I'm curious to see if this expands. Like I said, I'm just more surprised that there's only 8 teams in total, 4 XFL, 4 USFL teams. I don't know if it's something they're looking at, or maybe they're just trying to, not have all this overhead. As obviously finances were an issue. USFL, this was their second go around before the merger, and the XFL. I guess technically this was their second round, but only reason their first round failed was because of COVID. I honestly believe still to today, if it would have been for COVID, the XFL would be thriving, because that was the hottest thing, and everything that they were doing at that point in time for the XFL, for the fans to listen into. So hopefully this makes it where we got spring football. This gives us, one more thing to talk about come springtime. But 2, more football action to watch, and more merchandise to be sold, and all these other things that we got our hands into. So hopefully that does play out that way. Is there any team in the playoffs as of right now that you think teams should fear?
I'm going to say, like you said, I'm going to say fear. I'm going to say fear, but I wouldn't say get on a good run. I will go with, in the AFC, I would definitely go Cleveland Browns, because you can picture them winning 4 games. You can picture them winning on the road or wherever they need to win at. And the NFC, you got to I would definitely go with the the Rams with their offense, with Sam, with their quarterback. I would definitely be worried about the Rams and Matthew Stafford and them. But it's gonna be a competitive playoff, just like it is every year. You know what I mean? But I would definitely wouldn't want to face the Browns or the Rams because they'll be able to beat you. You know, with the Cowboys, you know, when we talk about Cowboys, it's about how they're going to be playing at that particular day. You know what I mean? How they're going to be feeling or how they're going to be looking that particular day. But they got problems on the offensive line with their left tackle being gone with the foot. Smith, they got problems. Miami, they got problems too. It's just going to be competitive. But I'm ready to watch it, though.
It's going to be interesting, especially this week. You do have some games that are relevant, which is crazy. I think last week, all the games, there was at least one team that it wasn't clinched. Like it was crazy. Yeah. Saturday night game with the Steelers still having a chance to make the playoffs, going to Baltimore. This will be interesting what the Ravens decide to do, how they want to pursue this game.
I think they already said Lamar Jackson sitting out.
Well, that kind of tells you where they're going with that and giving the Steelers a chance to make the playoffs. Also, Saturday night, it is crazy with this whole flex schedule, how this all worked out. Because Saturday night game at 8:15, you got Houston at Indianapolis. This will help decide playoff implications as well. Both teams 9-7. Yeah. Obviously, the winner will get an opportunity to still be in the playoffs. Then, of course, Sunday night, or Sunday, you got Jacksonville. If they win the division. But if Tennessee steps in and wins that game, then that can ruin that whole aspect of everything.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to watch. NFL is going to always keep you locked in, keep you interested. Just because that's the NFL, they're going to keep you at home in front of the TV.
We got more, though. Wigs up.
Yeah.
If Carolina shows up on Sunday and beats Tampa Bay, then that makes the New Orleans-Atlanta game important because then whoever wins that game makes the playoffs, and Bucks are out. And I don't think the number one seed is necessarily decided. No, the number one decided. The number 2 seed is not decided because Dallas could go for number 2 to like number 6 or something. Also, another game that makes a difference is who's going to win the division. Sunday night, Miami and Buffalo. I tell you what, the NFL lucked out and how these games all played out in the schedule this year.
Yeah, very entertaining. Very.
That is crazy how that worked out for them. Try to see what else popped up. Where we jump out of the studio. We won't make it till 10 o'clock tonight, especially as I got to get up early in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Get all the signage down. Definitely going to be back in the studio. Got to spend a couple weeks in Kentucky. There's the Sunday after Thanksgiving through the first couple weeks of December. As I got opportunity, as our company bought out another company, they bought 100 and some odd stores. I got to go down and help convert that into a Circle K, the company I work for. Little mom pop town. It was a cute little town, like little mom pop shops. That first weekend I was there, they had their Christmas parade. Actually, the little church in the town, Johnny Cash and June Carter got married at. Just really cool, laid-back atmosphere. It's been a while since I've been able to hang out one of those. I can't even think anywhere in the vicinity of Fayetteville area that there's a little mom pop town like that. Maybe downtown Lillington area where you first get into town, but before you get to the railroad tracks, that area maybe kind of atmosphere. Now, see, the original plan was for me to go and I helped convert them into a Circle K. While I was there, the store manager got sick. And so she was out actually almost the entire 2 weeks I was there. So then I'm getting stuck running the store and converting the store. Unfortunately, that store was actually smaller than the store that I was running when you and I first met. So it wasn't a horrible thing. Since it was such a small town and everything.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to be back next week, though, in the studio.
Most definitely. Hopefully we get Jay in here and get to talk about some more NBA as now we look forward to you know what was great about Christmas? Did you watch sports this weekend? Christmas weekend?
Yeah. So did.
I love how the NFL and the NBA, it worked out where you could catch the first game, and then once it ended, if you watch an NBA, you flipped over to the NFL, and it was about halfway through the game, and you could catch the exciting part of the second half. And as soon as you got done with that, you switched back over to the NBA going on, and you caught like the second half of that game. So you caught the exciting half of that, and then it was like back and forth. That's like what I spent my entire Christmas day was going back and forth between the NFL and the NBA games all day long. I tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better NBA or a better football Christmas or a better sports Christmas anyway. So. Looking forward to that. But, yes, looking forward to next week getting Jay back in the studio, get caught up on everything in the NBA as there won't be as much to talk about NFL next week as most of the players and teams will be taking the week off as most of everybody's about secure where they're going to be at in their playoff spot. But give our thoughts and get ready for round one of the playoffs. Looking forward to it since I have a dog in the fight for once. I don't get to do that too often. So, of course, we'll get things prepared for next week and get back into this. Let them know where they can find you, how they can get some merchandise from you and everything else.
Okay, you can catch us on social media at Carolina Sports Plus on Facebook and Instagram. Also on YouTube. You can catch us online at carolinasportsplus.com. We got a lot of good things coming along, so definitely check us out. And see you next week.
Don't forget, you guys can catch us at www.the110nationsportsradionetwork.com. We've got all our shows, videos, blogs, marketing partners, all that stuff, and also all the links to all the different platforms that we're on, if it be iHeart, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you name it, we are there. So make sure you guys check that out. Over the next month, everybody else will be following suit and getting back on the airways. Usually all the race shows, which would be your Pretty much your Monday show, your Tuesday show, and your Thursday shows. They usually come back right before the kickoff of the NASCAR season. So we're looking forward to everybody coming back. We all expect a full slate, 4 shows a week again, coming up by the end of this month. So looking forward to that. Make sure you guys check us out on Facebook, the 110 Nation Sports. Make sure you guys check out our Twitter at 110 Nation, our YouTube channel, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Trying to think if I missed anything else. No, I think we got it all. Glad to have Mario back. Looking forward to next week, and y'all have a good one.
You too. Hey, y'all need to clean up?